Hi, welcome to Every Single Journey, a family life original podcast for singles. My name is Becki. I'm a single girl in my 30s who is passionately pursuing this life God has given me. Join me as we navigate this season of singleness together. Being unapologetically myself can sometimes be a challenge, especially when I'm trying to convince everyone that I really am okay being single, or I'm trying to impress that special someone. What persona or mask do I present to the world? Here to chat about this is...
Hi, my name's Mike, and I work for the performing arts here at Family Life.
Hi, I'm Emma, and I also work for Family Life's performing arts department.
Emma.
Yeah.
What are some of the masks that you hide under, and what are your thoughts on them?
Okay.
Whoa, cutting straight to the chase.
Yeah. We jump right into it. Yeah, so as I was brainstorming about masks, I thought it was interesting because you phrased a question that was saying, are they harmful or are they helpful? And I was thinking, okay, well, what is a mask? La-di-da. I think that masks are quite normally harmful, and you guys can have differing opinions from this, but I think breaking down a mask that we put on that is a fake persona is normally harmful because this is a man-made thing and we are not putting on our identity of Christ. We are putting on something that is man-made. So I think ultimately that is harmful. Wow. What are some masks that I put on? I would say there are quite a few, but I'll just do one so then other people can speak into it. My number one mask that I would say is humor. Humor is a great mask to cover up how we are actually feeling. And I broke it down. I had 3 categories of humor that I use to kind of cover up what I'm actually feeling or turn it on to someone else. And I am not proud of them. And I would say my top 3, self-deprecating humor, male-deprecating humor, and others deprecating humor. And I say male-deprecating humor, let's just get into it, because we live in a culture that really, really loves tearing down men currently. And I think it's been going on for many years, but I remember when it had a surge that all of a sudden it was like, we hate men. And that is the culture now. I don't agree with that in any way, shape, or form, because we are all fearfully and wonderfully made, male, female. But because I am constantly consuming media, I see that all the time. And so those jokes just come out of being like, wow, it was a man. So those are some masks that I wear. We can talk more about it, but that's just a blip. Humor.
I liked the part you mentioned about, what is a mask? And I also started by asking the same question. And I was thinking through historically, I'm not talking about metaphorical masks now. I'm talking about actual masks that people wear.
Yeah.
They were used to either hide or protect or improve. I think it could be one of those 3 things. If you're a bank robber, you're going to wear a mask to hide your face. If you're a doctor or you were living during the pandemic, you wear a mask to protect yourself. Throughout history, there are people who have wore masks because they've had something on their face that was disfigured or they were in some sort of accident and lost a part of their face. So they wear a mask to help improve that. And I was thinking, I think masks, in light of what we're talking about today, we run to them for the same reason. Either we're trying to hide who we actually are, we're trying to protect ourselves from getting hurt, or we're trying to improve ourselves and make ourselves out to be more than we think we are or feel that we are. Oftentimes I hide behind the mask of perfection. I'm constantly worried about what other people think of me. And here's the question I ask whenever I start to get to know someone. What if they knew the real me? I can't show them the real me. I need to show them the perfect version of me, the one that's all put together, because I'm afraid that if they actually knew me, then they wouldn't want to hang out with me or be a part of my life. Mm-hmm. So I'd say perfection is the one that I hide behind often.
I love both of what you guys brought up because the mask that I commonly wear actually like ties both of your ideas into one. Mm-hmm. So Mike, you were talking about the different reasons that we wear masks. And Emma, you were talking about the self-deprecating specifically towards male humor because the world is currently just really negative and down towards men and almost trying to rewrite like what they're supposed to be and do. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that falls under like a peer pressure kind of trying to fit in kind of category. And so for me, like the mask that I tend to hide behind is the mask of independence. And it comes, and I've discovered that it kind of comes from a couple different places. It's either one I'm trying to, like you said, Mike, hide behind because I'm insecure about my relationship status, but that's usually coming from the peer pressure of the group of people that I happen to be around in that moment, because sometimes we find, or at least I find myself in places where everybody is just so excited for finding a future someone for me and for me taking that next step and getting married and having a family that they're just like, oh, well, you know, when are you going to meet that person? And are you out there right now? Are you putting yourself out there? So I tend to wear this mask of independence of like, yeah, of course I'm out there. And of course I'm doing all these things. And of course I'm this. Or it's on the flip side and they're like, oh, you know, you're happy in your single status and you're content. And I'm like, yeah, and of course I'm happy and content in my single status. And I put on this mask of maybe in that moment I'm not feeling happy or content about it, but I'm like, I'm this strong, independent person. I don't need a man. And so it's just so interesting that like the mask that I tend to wear kind of like combines both of your guys' idea, because a lot of times I'll put it on just to please the people and try to fit in with the people around me, not even necessarily acknowledging how I'm feeling about it in the moment. Maybe I am content in the moment. Maybe I'm not content in the moment. Maybe I am looking for somebody. And it's annoying to me how much it fluctuates up and down based on the peer pressure and the people I'm around. And I'm like, I wish I wouldn't wear that mask of like having to be that independent, perfect person of like, oh, of course that's what I'm feeling right now. And sure, I'll just put this independence mask on. One thing that I'm curious about is like, Mike, you were talking about needing to present yourself as this perfect person. And if they really, truly got to know you, they wouldn't be interested in you or like you or want to be your friend. And that's something that I've struggled with as well. And I think that's why I tend to like drift towards being, oh, I'm so independent and putting that persona on for the people around me to see. Have you, like, what are your thoughts on why that is a bad idea to put on this mask of perfection and then like say somebody meets you and you guys get to know each other and then they start finding out more about you? Like, can you dive into that a little bit for us?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think that the way that I can convince people that I'm perfect is by keeping them at an arm's distance and by not being transparent or honest or vulnerable with them. And if that's the case, then any sort of relationship will only ever be the surface level. And so I think that mask can be harmful because you never get the chance to actually trust someone or share a part of yourself with them because you're so worried about what they're going to think. We all carry, I'll say, baggage with us because we're all human beings and we're all sinful. And yet for some reason, we always think my problems and my things are the darkest or the worst. And if they knew the real me, they wouldn't like what they saw. They would hate it. And yet, I think that's what we're hungry for, is to be a part of other people's stories and help share burdens with one another and trust people and be trusted by people. And that's where friendship and love and beauty can grow. It's not from keeping people as far away from you as possible and not letting them see anything but the pristine version of you. So I think that's why it could be detrimental, because you never get to experience anything other than this superficial relationship.
And it can be extremely exhausting as well, because if I'm wearing one mask and presenting myself as this charming, funny, outgoing, you fill in the blank to try to impress that special someone or connect with that special someone. And so while I'm with that person, I'm always putting on this mask and this personality, and then it could be very different, or it could be pretty similar to who I actually am. And then I find myself in a setting with my friends and I'm just being myself, and they're getting to see all my baggage and all the things that are good and bad and ugly and all the in between, and connecting with me on that level. And then what happens when those two worlds collide? Like, not only is it exhausting to kind of like switch mask and thinking like a masquerade ball where you like all come in with one mask and it's like super cute and fun and exciting. Well, then if you're constantly switching outfits and masks as you go, that just sounds exhausting. But also then, like, what do you do when both collide? And that sounds like it'll get messy fast.
Yeah. And also, are you going to wear this mask forever?
Right.
Like, I think we have the idea, we don't think long term. No. What if this person you meet, what if it's a friend and you're friends for life? What if this is your future spouse? Are you just going to keep pretending for the rest of your life? Sooner or later, probably you're going to get to the place where it's not worth projecting whatever image you're projecting, and then you have to figure that out.
I think one of the times that I am most tempted to put on any type of mask or false personality is currently right now on my dating app profiles, because I read somebody's profile and I'm like, oh, this seems like a really fun person. It'd be cool to get to know them. And something as simple as different denominations. Now, I'm not saying I can't and won't date within different denominations, but there's some that I know believe very different things than I do. And it's been very tempting to be like, oh, I could be a little wishy-washy on my faith here. We could get to know each other and then sort all of that out later. When I know that deep down, one of my big things, big priorities that I want if I ever get married is to have somebody of the same foundation. Like, we believe the same core things, and to have that solid rock of Christ to build on. But it's so tempting to put on a mask and be like, he seems pretty cool. We could just start chatting and see where it goes. Or different like activities. It's like, oh, well, I kind of don't love doing that, but I kind of don't hate doing that. So maybe I could love doing that. And I'm like, wait, what am I doing? I'm just like putting this on, thinking I have to be this person for them just because they seem cool on paper.
Sure.
And it's so tempting to just throw out potentially, or be wishy-washy on either what I believe in or what I'm interested in. And it got me thinking, and it's like, that isn't how the Lord made me. Like, the Lord made me with certain interests and certain skill sets, and just, he made us all so unique. And it could just be so hard to embrace that uniqueness that I know Christ has given me, and the beliefs that I know that he's allowed me to believe, and want to just switch those all for a human. And I can't help but feel that that's not what the Lord would want for me, but it's so tempting to put that mask on.
Isn't that interesting? I think it's funny combining what both of you were saying, because, Mike, I really liked when you were talking about the fact that a mask that you put on is keeping you from that vulnerability in relationships, keeping you from that trust and be trusted. And you're saying that on Christian dating apps, you have to put your denomination and how easy it is to put on a mask to be like, well, I can be okay with like part of your beliefs right now, and then we'll sort it out later. That the enemy is attacking and making us so fearful for what is literally the foundation of ourselves. Mm-hmm. Because what we ultimately want as people is to know and to be known. And that's what you were talking about, Mike. And that's ultimately what a mask of any way, shape, or form is keeping you from. It's keeping you from being known. We can find so much comfort in the fact that we have a God that knows us. And ultimately, our life goal is pursuing him and getting to know him fully. But he placed us on this earth to have relationships with others, be that romantically, be that platonically. And our fear that is being instilled by the enemy is keeping us from that. I don't know. That was just interesting. That's what I was gleaning from both of you.
No, that's really cool. How interesting that the enemy often makes things seem the opposite of what they are. Because when we put on a mask, we usually do that because we think it will help us be more known, or it will make more people want to know us. And really the opposite is true. I was thinking, Becki, when you were talking about how Christ created us, I was thinking of Psalm 139, where it says, "You created my inmost being, you knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made." And I think this is convicting for me personally. I wrestle with this from time to time. When I'm putting on a mask, essentially what I'm saying is, God, I don't think you did a good enough job when you made me. If I were you, I would have made me differently. And if I get right down to it, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's precisely what I mean. I say, God, why did you make me like this? Why did you do this to me or that to me? And when I'm in that place, I'm forgetting about Psalm 139. I'm forgetting that God specifically knit me together precisely the way he wanted me. And I think that goes back to like what you were saying, Becki, about how it's easy to, say, well, this denomination would be my preference, but, if it's tempting to say that's not super important because maybe that won't help me get what I'm looking for. And I think this goes with every mask. It's just, am I trusting God? Am I trusting that he knows what's best for me and he wants what's best for me? Or am I trusting myself and trying to procure my own results and saying, well, if I appear too Christian, this will make these people not be interested in me. But if I appear not Christian enough, then these people won't. And if I come across as too funny, these people won't like me. But if I'm too overbearing, these people won't like me. And if I'm not aggressive enough, these people won't. And it's like we're trying to micromanage all these things. And
the cycle.
God made us how he wanted us. Mm-hmm. And he wants us to trust him, not try and perfect ourselves in a way that we weren't designed to perfect ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mike, as you're explaining that, my mind is picturing so when I think of a physical mask, my mind usually goes to some fun, exciting, theater type mask or something that's I'm trying to think of the right word, bejeweled and glittery and just all really pretty and all this kind of stuff. And Mike, as you were sharing about like trying to appear in a certain way for all these different people and please all these different people, my mind is like, man, that'd make one ugly like physical mask, because if you're putting it all together, you've got like this little bit and that little bit and a little bit of everything. And sometimes a little bit of everything can be great, but I feel like most of the time, like I'm getting that like picture of like a toddler like designing or creating, and they're just using a little bit of everything. And in a toddler's eyes, it's great. But as an adult, you kind of look at it and be like, yes, that's great. But it just, where's the cohesion? Where's like the prettiness of it? Like it's pretty in its own way, I guess. But I'm like, man, without realizing that's what I'm doing, that is what I'm doing. And just getting that mental picture of like, oh man, I need to remember that the next time I like spiral out into, oh, I'm trying to present myself in this certain way and I'm just creating more problems and ultimately trying, like you said, Mike, trying to take that control away from God and that my way is the best way, when that is just so not true.
I'll talk about one more. The mask that I think that has come up more recently in my life, which is really interesting because it's counterintuitive to my whole personality, because I was created to be outside and to be talking to lots of people. I'm pretty rambunctious and loud and exuberant, and I tend to be joyful when I'm in my land of love, that sort of thing. I'm just an out there kind of person, and I'm probably blaring in the podcast right now. That being said, it's so interesting because of the life circumstance that I'm in currently. Nothing new has happened in a while, if that makes sense. I finished school, I graduated, I got a full-time job, and now I'm like kind of comfy. I live in a house. I love my roommate. It's great. And I go to functions, or I go to more so family functions. And the mask that I put on is literal silence, because I don't have anything new to tell. Still working the same job. Still not, like, haven't gotten any new pets, like that sort of thing. I don't have any new updates. I am comfortable and I am content in that. But because I don't have a new marital status, I don't have a new relationship status, I don't have a new kid, I feel like I have nothing to add to the conversation, or that is the lie that has been placed in my head. So I'm just really silent. And I was just thinking about that when you were giving us our little questions to get our minds worrying about masks. And that was one that popped up. And I just want to very much speak against that, because it doesn't matter where you are in life right now. Your voice is so important. And words are so powerful. And God has not told us to be silent when nothing is happening, because we always have something to share, and we are constantly sharpening others with our conversations. And I don't know, dialogue is really important to me. So it's interesting that the devil has found that muzzling is an effective tool for me. And it's not even physical. It's all mental. And I mean, that's what a mask is. It's not a physical thing in this context. It is purely a creation that we have made.
It's so interesting to me, too, that masks are something that we can wear in every area of our lives if we choose to, not just in the single status or seeking a relationship. But like you said, Emma, with our family, we can wear a mask. We can expand that. When we're at work, we could wear a mask. When we're at the grocery store, we could wear a mask. And we can just try to fine tune and change who we are and who God created us to be according to what we think that should be in any given set of circumstances. And it goes so counterintuitive to what the Lord has for us. because, like we've said, he fearfully and wonderfully made us. He knit us together in our mother's womb. He has that plan for us. But if we're hiding behind these masks in any area of our lives, we're dampening or hindering that, because God created us to be, Emma, in your case, loud, fun, outgoing, more in Mike and I's case of a little bit more reserved and quiet, and both are very good. We just get our brain skewed and think that they're not so good and then try to hide it. Thanks for listening to episode 20 of Every Single Journey. If you like what you've heard, click the subscribe button to be notified when future episodes are available. You can also share this podcast on your social media pages so others can be encouraged too. If you're looking for more faith-based content like this, be sure to check out Family Life's other original podcasts, including If That Makes Sense, 10 Minutes With, You Can't Say That on Christian Radio, Trees Talk, The Parable Podcast. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Your financial gifts make podcasts like this possible as we seek to share the hope we have in Jesus. You can find out more on our website at familylife.org.